Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for participating in our webinar today titled Team Teaching Within Adult Education. Today, I asked Harold Gertner from Santa Fe College to present this webinar for us. Harold will share Santa Fe's team teaching approach and how they were able to implement simple techniques and strategies to integrate employability skills into the classroom. We will examine a variety of approaches to team teaching, with special consideration given to the direct implementation into our own current adult education programs. As we are all aware, current trends in adult education are moving towards increased team teaching across discipline areas, especially in regards to training for work. You've heard a lot about integrated team teaching models with technical departments like Washington State's IBEST model, Illinois' ICCAPS model, and now Florida's integrated career and academic preparation system we refer to as FICAPS. FICAPS directly addresses the broadening scope of adult education beyond the traditional GED and general academic instructions into areas of digital literacy, workforce preparation, career planning, as well as career and technical education. We are proud that Florida is one of the states leading the way with FICAPS. The Division of Career and Adult Education promotes the development of contextualized instruction with a specific career pathway focus, so I'm sure you will find this webinar interesting. The idea of team teaching can be intimidating to some teachers and administrators, but today, Harold is going to show us how team teaching can be less work and more fun than a traditional classroom. Harold, thanks so much for sharing this information with us today. I will now turn it over to you.
Great, thanks June, and welcome everybody to Team Teaching Within Adult Education. And we're going to talk, like it says here, about a variety of perspectives, attitudes, and teaching styles, and the advantages of having multiple teachers in the room at a time. So, in its simplest form, team teaching is just the idea of teachers working together to benefit the students, to the greatest benefit of the students, right? And this is something we teachers all do and have always done. Teachers do work together. They do partner with each other to try and figure out ways to help the students that are struggling in their classes or in school in several different subjects and things like that. But team teaching implies a little more, a little closer, a little more in-depth planning or closeness of teaching together than what we think of when we just think of generally asking our colleagues for assistance. And so really, when we're talking about team teaching, and the things that I think are most important about it is that you can kind of provide a variety of perspectives to students. In other words, each student, as we kind of commonly say, every student learns differently. We have different learning styles, and sometimes we talk about what our strongest or most dominant learning style is. Well, teachers were one students, and teachers all learn and teach in their own different styles and from different perspectives. And so having a variety of those can speak to a variety of different students in the room at once. Again, a variety of skill sets can be very important. Teachers bring different life histories, different life lessons, different resumes behind their name when they come with a variety of work and life circumstances that they can add to the class. And again, having two teachers deepens that, the amount of skills that can be shared. A variety of personalities is good for the classroom as well. Sometimes students don't connect with a teacher, but they may connect with their team teaching compadre. Again, kind of like the different types of teaching and different types of learning, there are different personalities that can link up more easily than others. And so having a variety of teachers in the room can add to the experience from that standpoint as well. And something it's kind of I don't know what the correct word is, more of a soft skill type of thing, or something that is kind of lost sometimes in our classrooms, is the importance of teachers modeling professional adult behavior and professional work behavior and respect and being polite to one another and things that many of our students may not have seen in other situations. They may come from difficult home environments or family situations. They may have been in difficult work situations. They may have mistakenly thought that our current presidential candidates displayed polite, respectful debate tactics. Well, they can come to an adult ed class and see how adults actually work together and speak to each other respectfully to the end goal of teaching the students. And that can be very positive as well. Students, so what's the point is what we're saying. So what if if this is something we need to do or have to do? There's a lot of trends and nationwide that have proved that this is not just where we want things to go, but important and successful for teaching students, and is definitely where the future of adult ed and career technical programs are going. We know the most about the Washington model, out of Seattle, Washington, mainly the IBEST model, which stands for the Integrated Basic Education and Strategic Training. That's become the most popular model for this type of integrated training where adult ed and career and tech work together. But Illinois is doing a similar project, and now Florida is one of the leading states on this project. We've recently, in the last year, over about a year ago now, the first Phi Kaps grant was awarded to start the process of integrating career and technical education with adult education programs. Additionally, the Adult Ed's 2016 curriculum frameworks require a workforce prep aspect. And so it's something that whether we think it's beneficial and we want to do it for our students, we're going to have to be integrating and teaching things beyond our typical academic classes at some point in the not too distant future. And every step we make to do that earlier is that much better. So we've talked about the why a little bit. Let's talk about how a little bit. We're going to go into some general comments about this team teaching here first. So as June said earlier, we have the FICAPS program in Florida, which stands for the Florida's Integrated Career and Academic Preparation System. The real 2-second upshot of that grant's goals are to get adult ed and career and technical instructors teaching together and get them in the classroom working to the benefit of their students, both academically and in their specific training certificate. This benefits not only adult ed students that want to pursue a technical program, but it benefits some of the technical students that may not have come to that program through adult ed. Because as we've seen before and we know to be a fact, adults with low literacy or math skills are more likely to be unemployed, and they're more likely to stay out of the labor force than those with higher skills, even if they possess an industry credential. So just because they made it into the HVAC program for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and just because they didn't necessarily need adult ed help to get their TABE scores to pass out of the class, doesn't mean that they can't benefit from some academic skill enhancement that will carry them further in their career and beyond. Now, team teaching can be scary, and is a phrase and word that teachers and administrators often hear, and immediately it strikes fear in their hearts, mainly fear for additional prep time and additional money and those types of things, because we have this idea that team teaching has to be almost like hand-holding each other, or they're every step of the way finishing one another's sentences, very extremely prepped, but in reality that doesn't have to be the situation. And what I hope you learn in this webinar is how easy it can be to integrate team teaching into your program, and how in the long run hopefully it'll be less stressful and more fun for your teachers, and ultimately less work for your teachers. Now, I realize some teachers are uncomfortable with a colleague in their room when they're teaching, and that just comes, unfortunately, over time. As we get to working together, that'll disappear. So unfortunately, that can be a stumbling block at first. But as you get to know one another and are more comfortable with other teachers in your classroom, that'll go away. And in the long run, it can actually lead to less planning, and less prep time because of a kind of a divide and conquer sort of mentality. Now, what I like to talk about it, and when I expand this idea a little bit, instead of team teaching, which in our minds immediately implies this excessive level of prep and intimate working relationship, I'd like to talk more about what I like to call tag team teaching, where it's more similar to a tag team wrestling, where in wrestling a pair of wrestlers fight as a team, and they tag one another in or out of the ring when someone needs a break or someone has a better skill to fight the current opponent. And so I'd like you to think about some similar situations you may have been in, times where you've been on a team, maybe a sports team, maybe a team at work, maybe a school team, like a class project or something. And try and think about whether you were working with or fighting with your teammate, and what kind of experience that made it. Was it a positive team experience or a negative team experience? And as you reflect on some of those things, if you had a negative experience, think about how you might reapproach that experience now and as an adult, and change the way you participate in some of these team experiences. And hopefully that'll kind of help put you in the right mindset for this team teaching discussion. Now, tag team partners, like we said in wrestling, play off one another's strengths, and the same is true in teaching. And so what you want to do is embrace each individual teacher's strengths and work together to provide the best classroom environment for the students. This relationship is going to develop over time. You're not going to know each other's strengths right away. You're not going to know the way you work best with each other, but the more time in the classroom, the more time the better that'll come. That'll come around pretty quickly. Additionally, if you can spend time out of the classroom, getting to know each other better, that working relationship will develop more quickly as well. So when tag team teaching, you don't have to be like Paul and his cohort here in the cartoon. They're gearing up to team teach another course, and they're so geared up and intimate and ready for this team teaching. They're wearing the same coat side by side together as one. Well, it's not always that. It can be, like I said, this tag team teaching where you kind of plan separately, but you have a general plan that goes together. You take turns with different topics or with different areas that may be one teacher's strengths versus another. Again, working together in this team teaching environment can provide a positive example for how adults can work together. It can provide a variety of perspective on a variety of topics. Especially think about if you had teachers of different ages working together. You may get different cultural examples or touchstones that they pull from. If you had teachers of different genders working together, you may get different perspectives based on their gender. Clearly, we've already talked about if you had teachers with different backgrounds, maybe someone coming from a more English heavy and someone from a more math heavy, they're going to approach the subject matter differently and hopefully complement one another nicely in that way. Now, you do need to be aware each team is going to work differently, and so this idea of a team teaching or a tag team teaching shouldn't be very strictly defined, but should really be left open to develop. You're going to find out the ways that things work best for your team, and in a new team, maybe next semester you work with someone different, and the team doesn't work the same way. You have to find out where that natural give and take is, so that you can provide the best classroom experience for the students possible. And like I said, we already touched on this, but additional time outside of the classroom and off campus can help increase those team teaching connections even more quickly. And a few more comments here. And as they say here, yeah, develop a professional relationship that will benefit the students. Good comment, Chris. And then asking, is tag teaming style of teaching limited to just two teachers? No, definitely not. Good question. And that's why I like to say that there should be a variety of options. You could have a lot of people working on this, depending on the scenario. I'll show you a few examples of that here coming up in just a second. We're going to get into some real specific situations. So now, like I was saying, before you expand beyond the adult ed program and into more working with your CTE programs or other training programs in your area to really push that true kind of FICAPS goal of adult ed GED students working on technical certificates at the same time. It might be nice to push yourself in your adult ed program a little bit. And in doing that, I would say it's important to challenge teachers to teach or to assist if they're not completely comfortable running a class outside of their comfort zone. You may think, I'm the math teacher, I only do math, I don't do English. Or someone may think, I'm only the English teacher, I don't do math, I haven't done math in a long time. Well, I would encourage you to try and put those two together and have the math and English teacher teach an English class and have the math and English teacher teach a math class. They're going to be, they're both going to approach the subject matter a little bit differently. They both, even if they haven't done the math or the English in quite a long time, they ought to be capable and skilled enough to either remember it or pick it back up pretty quickly or kind of stay ahead of the students. And I think you'll find it to be exciting and rewarding and more fun than just going through the monotony of teaching another math class on fractions like you've taught every time. Now you've got an English teacher to help you explain it. And there's lots of advantages to this idea of teaching outside of your comfort area. We had a webinar 2 weeks ago about connecting math to life beyond the classroom, and we touched on this idea a good bit of teaching and connecting to things beyond the specific subject area. And so you can certainly refer to that for some more options. Let's see here. Another question came in. Have you heard of team teaching projects where one instructor facilitated the face-to-face class and the others did online instruction? Of course, a good bit of planning and coordinating behind the scenes. That's a good option too, yes. And it does take a little bit more planning and coordinating behind the scenes to do something like that. We do something a little bit similar that I'll share with you in just a second, but not exactly that. So let's push forward here. Lots of good comments and questions, though. Thanks, y'all. Keep them coming. So here at Santa Fe, like I said, there are a variety of things that we do in this to this end. That we're trying to. This is all new in a lot of ways. We're trying to push more team teaching and kind of discover new ways to excite our students, to keep our students involved, to keep offering our students things beyond simply their academic preparation. And here's a list of some of the areas that we're dealing with and trying to integrate this. So we have a health and nutrition class, a writing and computers class. We're working on 40-hour childcare certificates. We're partnering with the Tramcon program, and we're working with nursing assistants training program here at Santa Fe. And so I'm going to go on the next few slides. I'm going to go a little more in depth about what we're doing with each one of those things. And as we look at them, you'll see the variety of ways you can approach this idea of team teaching. Okay. And speaking to the cartoon here, I always try and comment on my cartoons. You may feel this moment sometimes where it feels like it'd be better to collaborate without your partner. But hopefully, as we said, more time in and more time doing this, you'll come to see how much fun this is and how much this benefits. Here's an excellent question just came in. Who absorbs the cost of 2 teachers in the classroom, bringing and then it expands, bringing a CTE teacher to an ABE or GED class? First off, as far as teachers team teaching within the adult ed department, here at Santa Fe, what we've done is increase the size of the classrooms so that although we do have 2 teachers in there, the teacher to student ratio is the same. So we're not really, having double staff in a sense, or we're not having to double up our teaching load and therefore the pay for our teaching load. We're also extended those classes into longer blocks, so our team teaching would work better. And although that doesn't speak to the cost. In terms of the CTE teacher and ABE class combination, what we actually done is we don't bring a CTE teacher into an ABE class. We do it the other way. We have an ABE GED teacher participate in a CTE class. And that right now, our funding for our ABE GED instructor that goes into that class situation, specifically our nursing assistant class, is funded through the Phi Kaps grant that we applied for and were awarded. There are several schools in Florida that were awarded the Phi Kaps, and there were actually some awards left on the table. So if you didn't apply, you should have. And I'm sure it'll be coming around again, because this is a place the state wants to go. But basically what you have to do is you do have to get creative with your funding. As we've heard time and time again, you have to figure out a way to make this work through partnerships in town and partnerships between programs and institutions. All right, so here, back to the health and nutrition class. We have a health and nutrition class that we offered here at Santa Fe Adult Ed for the first time this fall. It is essentially a reading class. It focuses most of our reading material focuses on health, nutrition, and the life science portion of the GED curriculum. We chose these things because the life science material makes up about 40% of the science portion of the GED test, and we have a lot of students that are also interested in healthcare profession when they get out of their GED program. And so we decided this would be a nice entry into those topics and a good way to kind of work on both at once, really combining our GED and potential workforce prep kind of track. So what we do is, in this class this fall semester, we've turned it into a team teaching situation where one other teacher and I teach together. It is a 3-hour block class. We have the students only meet 1 day a week. We offer the class 2 days a week, and they're 2 different sections. We essentially have divided the class into thirds. And so we have the first and third period are basically devoted to the reading and academic side of things, while the second period is focused on the certification requirements, namely in this case, the basic life support or CPR and the first aid certification. What we've done, essentially, one teacher takes the first and third period, the other teacher takes the second period and does the CPR and first aid instruction in the middle period of the class. And then both teachers are there the entire time, kind of participating and interjecting information and other examples and clarifying things, playing what I call in some ways the assertive student role, asking the questions when you realize the rest of the students didn't quite get it but are asking the question. All right, how did we do this? Like I said, we doubled up the class size, and so we did, and the length of the class, so we haven't really added an adult ed teacher in terms of our regular schedule. But what we did is, instead of paying someone from outside of our department to come in and instruct in CPR and first aid, our other instructor, actually our department director, Julie Fault, went and got certified to teach CPR and first aid. And she teaches it throughout the semester in this class, and we actually there also extend the time period that's covered for the material. So instead of a quick 8-hour class in 1 day, we've extended the CPR and first aid over the whole semester with a real intensive focus on reading the book that goes with it and the material, and using that subject matter as an additional reading focus for our students' academic prep, but also for general good knowledge. Just walking around the building, they might need this, or at home they might need to perform CPR or first aid, or at whatever career they go into. But especially if they're interested in the health profession, health field, we have many students who want to go into a CNA program, and they can actually begin that prior to finishing their GED. But 2 of the things they have to have before they go in are CPR and first aid. And so they're getting that in this semester in this class. And it's a great way to integrate that into the class. In another class for our writing and computers class, this is taught by 2 teachers together, the same plan. They're both adult ed instructors. We basically doubled the length of the class and doubled the size of the students. It's essentially a language arts and grammar class focused on the digital literacy and computer skills and typing as well. And so this is truly divided time as far as team teaching goes. One teacher is in the classroom for the first half of the 3-hour block, and the other teacher is in the classroom for the second half of the 3-hour block. Their assignments complement one another. The teachers do plan together briefly about what's coming up next, but then they essentially execute their lessons about that subject separately. It is all in the same classroom in the same kind of time period, though, so that the students aren't moving and losing their we're not losing them between classes when the bell rings, kind of thing, or anything like that. It works really well. The students go to either of the teachers for questions on the other's assignment, and they really enjoy the variety of perspectives and a little bit of change of pace throughout the morning. In our we also have a 40-hour childcare certification class that is essentially a reading class. This is team teaching in like a round robin style, I call it. There's essentially a group of teachers taking turns conducting the class, and then there's one teacher kind of instructing the majority of the modules, and then coordinating the other teachers that tag in to instruct the other modules. It's a great course. I'm the head instructor, organizing who does what, and teaching about half the classes. We do it in a blended class setting, so this kind of speaks to that question earlier about face-to-face versus online. We're teaching this class by signing up the students through DCF's 40-hour childcare certification program online, and then in the class, I am also registered online as a student, and I go through the online curriculum on an overhead projector, and we go through it and work through it as a class. And then each student is registered to go out. They're registered on their own, and they go out into the lab or go home and work on the online part themselves again. And so essentially, they've seen it twice by the time they've gone through it individually. They've done it once with the group and once alone, and then that preps them for their course, their testing, when they're ready for their testing. We again, like I was saying, it's focused on reading, and it's this kind of blended classroom idea. So it's got that digital literacy factor going for it as well. Many of the students in this class are also some of our lower level students that, quite frankly, may never achieve their GED, but are certainly capable of achieving the 40-hour childcare and making a good, productive, fulfilling living for themselves. I just had a question about teachers dealing with grading assignments. Do they share this? Good question. That really depends on which one of these scenarios we're in. For example, in the childcare scenario here, when it's your turn, if you're one of the teachers and it's your module that's coming around, you would be in charge of all the assignments and grading and everything for that module. If you were in the looking at the class before, the writing computers class, they are essentially giving separate assignments that complement one another, and therefore they're grading them separately. In the one before that, the health and nutrition class, we give all our assignments together, like it's as though Julie and I are one teacher. And so we do take turns assessing that as we see fit. We kind of do it together or trade off or whatever. So it really depends on the scenario. One other scenario we have is we work with the Tramcon program. Sorry, y'all. I expanded my question and answer there, and I thought I lost you for a second. So we've also expanded to work some outside of the adult ed program already, and this is really due to the Phi Kaps grant and some of our efforts prior to receiving that. But one of the areas we've partnered with is the Tramcon program, which is through the construction department. It is a Department of Labor grant, and so one of the beauties of it is it's free tuition for students, but it's a program in training in manufactured construction. And through this program, we've kind of tried a variety of team teaching approaches. We started out with kind of the assertive student, I like to call it, where I was going into 2 of the Tramcon classes and raising my hand and asking questions in the back when I thought the teacher maybe didn't quite explain something well enough, or even if they explained it, maybe somebody didn't quite get it. I would and the teachers were really open to it. The great thing about the Tramcon program here at Santa Fe is both the teachers, the main two teachers in the program, are relatively new to teaching, although they're very seasoned in the construction industry, and so they were very open to working with someone and kind of they were great for answering questions that I threw out there, and weren't offended at all that I was some other teacher in their classroom. We then morphed that into kind of a tag team teaching in class, where one of the teachers and I really had been working together for a couple semesters and got to where we would really trade pins at the board and be like, oh, it's my turn to tell you how to do this the way I think about it, and now Tim can tell you how to do it his way, and now it's my turn again. And started that out with the construction math, because he would teach it from a very practical approach of what you do on the job site, and I would teach it from the more academic, here's the real math behind it approach. And then we kind of grew from that point, and eventually got to where we were really tag teaming on most of the class. We also have kind of a team teaching style, and this speaks to that question earlier of can we have more than one person in the tag team? You could, and I just kind of changed it to say team teaching to make it sound a little different. Sometimes in the construction department over there, we have 3 or more teachers in the construction lab, we call it, where we're building a house for Habitat for Humanity. And so here actually you see a little bit of a picture of that. These are some of our students from one of the Tramcon courses last spring. And in the back you get to see some of the Habitat house that we were building last spring. Here's a few of the other students putting up some siding on it. Now this is all gone and cleared out and on the property of someone's house, and we're back at putting a new floor down, starting another one already for this fall and spring. So when those projects are going on out there, we have 2 or 3 instructors working together or working with different groups of students on different learning projects out there at the same time. All right, let's see. So one other, we also work here at Santa Fe with the nursing assistant program. The adult ed and the nursing assistant program have partnered together in this in what's the most true FICAPS grant program we have, where we have actual GED ready students in the class with an adult ed instructor. The adult ed instructor participates in all the classes, assists in the teaching and learning center in the health department. Also taught a prep class over the summer for our fall group. We had a group go through last spring without a prep class, but with an ABE GED instructor with them, and that went pretty well. They all completed the program successfully. It was a challenge, but they completed. Then we did a prep class this summer to get our NAs ready for the fall, and that went even better. And they've continued to be successful and enjoyed the program even more when they're that much more prepared for it. That same adult ed instructor does the prep class, and that she also goes to the actual classes with them, so they've also built that relationship early. She conducts extra study sessions during the CNA program with those students. Those extra sessions are open to our official FICAPS students and to the other students in the course that aren't officially in our grant. We like to help all the students that are there and can be helped if we can. So again, it's just another approach, the most truly FICAPS of what we're doing, where we have an instructor in every single class with a nursing instructor as well. So really, kind of in summary, team teaching is this idea of working together to provide the best educational opportunities you can for your students. I think they get a greater depth of knowledge. I think in many cases the students can learn more quickly because they see this knowledge from a variety of perspectives. Again, I would argue that it can be more fun for teachers playing off one another, and a little bit less stressful than having to carry the whole load all the time. Additionally, something I didn't touch on, but if someone has to miss a class for any sort of reason, the class doesn't have to be canceled, or a sub doesn't have to just kind of guess their way through. The other team teacher can just take the whole class for a day. It works. It's very seamless. And like I said, what we're really talking about is how to integrate goals beyond your traditional academics into the classroom. And we found that to be very successful through this team teaching approach. Again, mainly because we're leaning on the strengths of individual teachers. In the first part of the new year, I'm going to conduct another webinar about integrating these new curriculum frameworks into your existing classroom settings, which is basically going to go more in depth about the steps we're taking to essentially train our staff to teach a more workforce prep and digital literacy kind of well-rounded program, and how we can actually offer our students some of these additional certificates without having to hire out for it or pay other companies to come do it. Let's see. I have a few other questions here. Do you know of any ESOL instructors teaming up with another program instructor? Good question. We are looking to expand into that realm of having our ESOL instructors do some of this team teaching as well. Don't have any of them doing it right now. We do have some ESOL students involved in a few of the training programs we talked about, however. We have a few in the Tramcon program and in the nursing assistant program. They obviously were a few of the higher level students so that they could deal with the material well, but they also we're leaning on our adult ed instructors for additional support, just like our regular adult ed students. There's also another question here about how do you pay adjuncts for planning time. Basically, with adult ed at Santa Fe, we technically don't have adjuncts. We have all what we call specialists, and they're all by the hour, just hourly employees instead of like a by the credit designation like an adjunct would be. And so it's very easy for us to pay them for whatever time they put into the class in terms of planning or grading or anything like that. And we offer them time for planning and prep for sure, with compensation. All right, and so I think that's about the end of my presentation today. I may have spoken a little quickly because of the slow start. Made me feel like we had the pressure on to get moving. But I'd welcome some more questions if anyone has anything. Let's see. There's a few things in chat. Let me make sure. Oh, here we go. In chat, there's a few questions. Are you using published materials or did you write your own materials? This is going back before. Well, maybe this is going back and forth between people here. But I'll speak for our program. For like the CPR and first aid, we use the material provided by the American Heart Association because we have a certified instructor that's using that material. For the Tramcon program, we use the NCCER core construction material. The instructors that in the Tramcon are certified in that. Actually, without giving too much away to my next webinar, I'm certified. Recently became certified to teach that as well. And so we may be able to expand teaching the core instruction curriculum into adult ed classes. But we use that material because we're certified to use that material. Same is true for, let's see, the health and nutrition reading material class. We essentially have made that up on our own. We do a lot of current events, have them reading a lot of nutrition and health articles. We also have them working in the Steck-Von GED science prep book for that side of things. So that's, clearly we didn't write our own material there. Let's see. Oh, I see. So now it's talking someone who's doing cabinet making for students who are interested in cabinet making. Very exciting. That's great. We actually have one of our Tramcon students that got a job at a cabinet maker here in Gainesville with his experience from the course. Nice. Someone sharing here that they did have a positive team teaching experience. They had great input from the other teacher on real life experience in the field. Exactly. That's what's cool too. you may just life circumstances and experiences from two different adults is going to be bring a larger wealth of perspectives and examples to whatever you're talking about, which will make it the course material richer and kind of sink in better with the students. Let's see here. What else we have? I think if I'm looking back through, that was all in the chat, and I know I told people to come to the question and answer, so maybe they were trying to chat among themselves and ignore me. But here we go. So I just had someone share the message to our Q&A about the materials. Yeah. Yes, there are some workshops on this approach in the pipeline. So that was one other question up here. And like I said, hopefully we'll have some more specific examples and some real an outline or a worksheet of things you could put into practice to kind of make this happen. So I guess if there's not anything else, June, do you have anything?
Harold, did you talk about how you became certified in like CPR and then Julie became certified and then you went on and taught that class yourself?
Right, yes. So Julie, I am not certified in CPR and first aid yet, but I'm supposed to be getting certified soon. Julie did get certified through the American Heart Association, which if you're interested in helping students go into healthcare, you need to go with the American Heart Association instead of Red Cross, because many schools and many hospitals and nursing homes and things don't accept the Red Cross's CPR and first aid requirements. But that's how we have avoided having to pay a $50 fee for a CPR course for every single student. We teach to them for free because we have the certification. I'm also getting certified in the Childcare course so that we can have a certified instructor teaching that instead of just working it through with the students as another student. And the same is true with the NCCER core construction course. I'm getting certified in that so that we can offer to our students without having to hire in extra help. And so we're looking to do that in other things. We also have an instructor who got certified in the ServSafe curriculum so that we can teach food prep safety in our classes as well. And that would be a foot in the door for students looking to go into the restaurant industry. Does that kind of speak to what you were thinking of, June?
Yes, that's great. And then Murtha's question about ESOL too, just a comment about the FICAPS grantees, that there was an ESOL grant that went out too. So we're going to be getting some more information down the road on some people who are really implementing this.
Wonderful. Yeah, and that's something that we have just barely dipped our toe into here at Santa Fe and hope to keep expanding with our ESOL students as well. But we're just not quite there yet. Looks like another question may have come up. Okay, so to get certified in CPR, you have to be CPR certified. This is Julie answering our, refining our questions here for us, or being more specific. And then you have to take an instructor class. So Julie just paid out of pocket for this certification, but there's a pretty good chance your school may pay for it through a professional development fund. I'm sure if you talk real sweet to Zelda, she might add that as a professional development acceptance under the Phi Kaps grant. There's all sorts of possibilities there. But yeah, you do have to spend a little money to get your instructor certified, but compared to, $200, that would have been 4 students getting their CPR. And, we have a class of, we have 2 classes of about 16 or 17 students in each that are going to get them. So the cost benefit analysis, works out pretty quickly there. All right, I'm looking, I don't see any other questions. June, you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, that's it. Thank you so much. And thank you to your entire staff at Santa Fe College. And we look forward to more presentations like this as we try to improve the whole integrated preparation system that we have here in the state. So,
excellent. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. And if you have questions after you log off that you think of, please send them on to June or My information, I think it should be available on the front of the webinar and those kinds of things. So have a great afternoon, and thanks so much for tuning in.